Hello, welcome to a video on why a comic book so addictive. Yes, they are. Indeed. Most of us that are in this hobby cannot dispute that. For some people, they can walk away. I know many that walk away completely and say, I'm done. So of everything, I do not care. Um, Unfortunately, those that do that don't really, for the most part, watch YouTube for comic books, right? Because if they start watching the videos again, they might get sucked into it again. So I can only guess. So I would love to hear or talk to people that say, I had enough, I'm done, I don't care anymore, I'm not gonna buy a damn thing, I sold off everything, I don't even care to look at YouTube videos. But for most of us in this hobby, it is addictive. And occasionally, here and there, I get into discussion with other collectors as well as friends in this hobby that ask me, how do I budget? Do I have a budget for this hobby? And my answer is no. There is nothing wrong with having a budget. Nothing wrong at all. A lot of us invest in or save money through 401k. Okay, a lot of us with jobs and long-term goal, we do that. We put 5%, 10%, whatever it is that people do. So there are people that do that, and if they do that, it would not be a surprise if they put X percentage of their earning into the hobby, especially if they look at the hobby as a long-term investment. As always, what make this hobby hard to explain to people is that there are people that just like to buy new stuff. They would spend $50, $100 a week buying new stuff, read it, and enjoy the hobby that way. There are, okay, if you follow YouTube comic book community, you see this. Okay, this is nothing new here. There are guys and girls out there that love to read new stuff off the rack and don't mind spending the $50 or $100 a week doing so. And there are those that spend $50, $100 a week buying stuff, but they do it more for speculating and investing. There are plenty of people that buy new stuff off the rack that really don't care what is inside the page or the stories or the character. They are, okay? I'm sure many of you will not dispute that either. So when it comes down to budgeting, it's really, there is no hard and fast rule on how you can enjoy the hobby. I can say for myself, whenever people ask me, how do I budget? What kind of budget do I have with this hobby? Certainly, I am in the segment that collect both for enjoyment as well as for investing reason. There are books that I buy, there's books that I have that are pretty much dollar bin, quarter dollar, 25 cents bin kind of thing, where it's not meant to be anything special, but I enjoy having them. So I have plenty of those. I have 3,000 books, and not all 3,000 books are investment quality. But there are books in my collection that are considered investment. So I enjoy the hobby that way, but because I have been in the selling mode. Okay, I'm not really working that much in the past 2 or 3 years. Pretty much in the past 5 years or even longer. I have been semi-retired or 75% retired, as I would call it. So I don't have huge extra income to throw into the hobby. So I don't really have a budget. I have a limitation on what I will spend, and most of that came from what I sell. I sold a lot of stuff in the past 7 years, and even this year and last year and this year I sold a lot. And whatever money I got from selling those books, I can put it back into the hobby without using extra income from my daily lives to spend on a hobby. So for me, that make it easy. It's easy to enjoy the hobby where there is no financial pressure on my income. Where I have to like think about, where do I take the money from? Do I cut back on something else to do this? Maybe in my earlier days, okay, maybe way back in my earlier days of collecting, that I was more budget conscious because I didn't have much. But these days, I sold more than what I buy. So it is not a hard thing to do as far as budgeting. My advice to people when they ask me for advice on investing or how much to allocate into this hobby is you better love this hobby a lot if you want investing, okay? Because if you don't really love something, it's like stocks. A lot of time when you buy a stock, it's not gonna do well right away. Not everything that you buy, not everything that I buy or invest in as far as the stock market have great return right away. Sometimes it take a year or 2 or 3 or 5. Sometimes, sure, nobody want to buy an investment and say it's gonna be dead money for 5 years. Nobody, okay? Nobody. Whether it's real estate, stocks, bond, comic books, nobody. Let's be real. Nobody would like to buy something and see that investment sit as dead money for years and years and years. But we all need to be prepared that can happen, right? Like when I bought this house, there's no way I can tell if the housing market in 2010, late 2009, is going to change. At that time, it was horrible. The real estate market was terrible. I bought it, spent a whole year renovating it and moving into this house in 2011. It was a fixer-upper. It was bad. We had to redo everything. So, same thing with comic books. If you're in it for the long run, 10, 20, 30, 40 years or whatever it is, then it's okay to talk about allocating a percentage of your income into the hobby, right? If you want to put, say, 5% of your earning, buying some big books and put away for 5, 10 years, 20 years, sure. But you better really love it, because even if you buy an AF-15 today, what if this is the top of the market and for the next 5 years, the book need to be digested and it will flatline for the next 5 years? Is that going to be okay? When it comes down to investing in this hobby, I try very hard to remind people that, it's not a straight line up. We have enjoyed a huge run up in this market in the past few years. Huge, okay? Huge. And as in investing, past performance is not indicative of future performance. Okay, that's a caveat that I like to throw it out there for a lot of people. So if you don't understand that things can go bad, then you haven't been living long enough. Because if you live long enough, you have seen stock market crash, you have seen housing market crash, you have seen many things crash. So my advice to people in this hobby, when it comes down to budgeting, how much money to spend in this hobby, you better love this hobby a lot, because it could be a very long run before you get any kind of great return on your investment. So enjoy the hobby, It's with everything. Don't put all your eggs in one basket, right? When it comes down to investing, there's a lot of places to invest your money. Real estate, stocks, other collectible. There's all kind of stuff. It's not about spending every nickel of your disposable income in comic books. That's not the right way to approach any investing. Okay? Regardless if it's comic books or anything else, I would never advise anyone to invest every penny of their disposable income, extra money, into one thing. I won't do it. If you want to do it at your own risk. But I think that's the recipe for disappointment. So for me these days, it's good to be choosy, because I don't have everything that I want. But as I have said many times in many videos, I don't have everything that I want. I don't need everything that I want. Nothing that I want is a must-have. It's comic books. So unless I get something at the right price, it's not important. It's not important for me to spend the money that I allocate into this hobby. Just because I have extra money sitting around because I sold a lot of books does not mean I had to use it all up. Okay, that's, a lot of time when someone that get into some cash, they get a tax return or something, and they sit there with a couple of $100 or a couple of thousand, they feel a need to go spend it right away. That's not how I approach it. Patient always pay. I rarely chase after anything. Sure, there are things I'm willing to pay up and pay a premium. There's always something in your life that you're willing to do that. There's nothing wrong with that. Life is too short to be cheap all the time, right? So moderation, patience, you can throw in all the common sense word into it, but that's how I approach the hobby. So my best advice to anyone is that there's nothing wrong with budgeting a certain amount of your disposable income into the hobby for long-term investment reasons, but in the end, don't put all your eggs in one basket. This hobby is addictive, but there's a lot more important things in life than this hobby. For some guys, it is all about buying books and going to the grave with the whole collection. There are guys, collectors like that. I'm just telling you from my viewpoint. I'm not like that. I have no desire to go to the grave with my collection. No desire. They do no good. No good. I'd rather use the money for something else to enjoy life if needed. Okay? And that's it. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.